In this part of the webinar, we are going to look at the X Superbill screen. The X Superbill screen is used by customers who receive charges through an external system, which is a diagnostic system or an EMR system, and have to process the charges. They can do the charge processing, which is the bulk charge processing, from the X Superbill screen. So let's take a look at the X Superbill screen. To look at that, we're going to go to the charges menu and click on X Superbill. This will open up into the X Superbill screen. So once the screen is open, at the top you can actually use these different filters to filter the charges that get listed here. If you click on the more filters, you can also see more filters that are made available to you to filter charges. Here on this section is where you can see all the charges that have been imported. Any new charges that have been imported will come up with the new status. And at the top you can also see how many lines are in the new status. Any charges that you have put to a rebill status or are in the bill patient status or bill guarantor or hold, you will also see them show up under these different buckets. You click on any of the buckets, it'll show the claims that are in that status. So I click back on the new, and this is my new list. So to process the charges, you can either check all of them here and hit the process at the bottom in one go, or you can select the ones that you want to process and then hit the process button. While processing the charges, you can also set an accounting date or a batch number as well. Now let's say if you want to make any modifications to the charge that you are processing, you can double click on it and make an inline edit. Like if you want to change the CPT or the date of service, or you want to change the diagnosis pointers or modifiers, or any of the fields that you see on the line. If you want to make a modification to that, you can just double click on the line, whichever you want to modify, make the changes, and hit update to have it updated. Now to the right hand side, you also have an edit charge option. Now this edit charge option will open up the charge master screen. Now any fields that are not editable from the X Superbill screen, or fields that you not see on the X Superbill screen, you want to modify any of that information, you can click on the edit charge screen, and that opens up into the charge master, and from here you can make the modification to any of those fields. The charge master holds all the charge fields, so any fields that you cannot edit or see over there and you want to modify it, you can always come into this screen and either on the encounter, detail, or on the line level you can make the modifications to that. So once you make a modification here, if it's on the encounter or details tab, you will hit save encounter. If it's on the line that you make a modification, you can hit the save line. When you go back to the screen, the X Superbill screen, you can see the changes. You may just have to maybe refresh it, just hit the search so the screen refreshes and you can see the modifications that you have made on this screen. Now let's look at processing the charge. So to process the charge, you would check the box here and select the status that you want to process it with. If it is an insurance charge, you would process it as bill to PR, which is a default status that you see over here for processing. If it is a cash charge, you want to select the status here as bill to patient and process it with the bill to patient status. You can also use a billing guarantor if you wanted to be billed to the guarantor instead of the patient. Now I'm going to try to select all the charges here and try to process them to bill to PR. You will notice that the first charge here is actually a cash charge, because you can see the case number here is the cash case, which is being selected. Of course, if I want to change the case here from cash to the insurance, if that's a case that I want to use here, it'll show all the cases that are added for the patient. And if this is a case that I want to use instead of the cash case, I can always click here and change the case. But let's say I have not made any changes, or if I try to process the cash charge along with the insurance charges and try to process them to put to bill to PR. The only the insurance charges will be processed. The cash charge will not process, and we'll just take a look at it right now. We'll just hit process, and you'd see that I had checked these two, and you can see that the charge did not process because it gave me an error. It said that this is still in a this is a cash charge, so it cannot process that charge. It gave me an error message on the screen. What I'm going to do here is, because I cannot process the cash charge, I would have to process the insurance charge. I can only process the insurance charge because I'm putting it to bill to PR. I will check the insurance charge and hit the process, and that charge will be processed. So you can see now there's only charges here. The one that I checked on and hit the process is gone away from this list. It is now moved to the bill to PR list, or it's on the from the new, it moves to the bill to PR list. Once it moves to the bill to PR list, you can see them on the ready to submit screen in the claims workbench, and you can batch and submit those claims from the claims workbench. Now, what about this cash charge? How do I process that? So if I want to process the cash charge, I check this box and select bill to patient. Or, as I mentioned previously, if you want to bill to the guarantor instead, you can select bill to guarantor. There are also other statuses here, like if you don't want this charge to be processed at this time, you want to temporarily hold the charge, you can select the hold status. Or if you want to void off the charge, let's say if this charge need not even be there in the system and you want to like void it off, you can use the void status, which is like deleting the charge. There's no physical delete option, but it'll change the lines for that charge into void, which is same as deleting the charge. So those are the different statuses that you can use for processing a charge. Now once the charge gets processed, it changes to bill to PR status, and once it's on the bill to PR list, you can go to the claims workbench screen and complete the submission, batching and submission of those claims. So that was all to explain about the Superbill screen.